There's a really old, dumb, stupid baseball movie, I think it's like 1949, called It Happens Every Spring. I don't expect you, it's Ray Milland, and I don't expect you to go watch it. Ask your grandfather. And it's about baseball. And Ray Milland is a professor who invents a kind of wood that repels insects, so the insect don't go chew up on the wood. Well, somehow, some way, it turns into I don't know. He puts it in a baseball. And the next thing you know, when the wood of the bat goes to hit the baseball goes woo and goes away. And it's a dopey baseball movie. It happens every spring. There's something else dopey that happens every Saturday as it relates to the Dallas Cowboys and the NFL. I'm Mike Fisher, your trusty and trusted reporter. This is Breakfast at Fishinies, like live. Congratulations, last night we gave away the Fossil Watch. More of that, Friday Prize Day. We'll do it again. And when we get to 70,000 subscribers here among fish heads in Cowboy Nation, Sugar's going to open up the prize closet. Woo! So tell your cowboy-loving friends to get your butts in here. At the start of last week, I reported, exclusive, that the Cowboys and Dak Prescott were, quote, ready to open negotiations on the extension for the MVP quarterback. It wasn't a guarantee it was going to get done. I didn't have a timetable saying they're going to call each other at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. I simply reported exactly what I reported. As you may know, if you followed me, 40 years covering the NFL, 34 years covering the Cowboys, I choose my words carefully. I'm a professional Big J journalist. I wrote that they're ready to open negotiations on an extension. And then came the end of the week. That was at the beginning of the week. At the end of the week, an ESPN trademark, the weekly Saturday morning sports center, in which Jeremy Fowler offers up an assortment of NFL-wide gossip that, frankly, is too often mostly sound and fury stuff. Hey, Fish, what's sound and the fury mean? You can ask Shakespeare or Faulkner or ask your grandfather. Okay, sound and fury means a bunch of noise and a bunch of words that in the end signify nothing. And that's what ESPN does every Saturday morning on SportsCenter. They don't have Jeremy reporting on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesday. He doesn't break stories on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just Saturday. Fowler, this Saturday, by the way, no offense to him. I hope he's got thick enough skin to be able to take this. But what I'm saying is true. He's reporting that the Cowboys and the representatives for Dak Prescott, quote, haven't had any substantial talks about the long-term contract. Quote from Fowler, I was told that Dallas and Dak's reps have not had any substantial talks. They have not discussed numbers. Okay? ESPN does a good job of framing this and phrasing this. Wow. What an exclusive. I'm not sure if ESPN, by doing this, is attempting to shoot down our report or if Fowler has any knowledge of our report. I don't know. I assume he thinks that he's advancing the ball on the story. If it's the former, if this is a shoot down, I never pinpointed a time and a date of some initial phone call. Indeed, if you go back to my story at cowboyssi.com or our conversation here about what the late Bob Ackles taught young Stephen and about what Jerry first told me in the Isaac Holt negotiations, Mr. Mike, deadlines make deals. You fully understand about the importance of that first phone call. And I did not pinpoint and cannot pinpoint the moment that they have or will contact each other, except in a moment, we're going to give it some framework. There's a 34-year-old history dating back to Valley Ranch about that first phone call. But if ESPN's trying to shut down our report, I'll simply say I stand by our report. Our report was and is accurate to a T. If Fowler is intending to do the latter here, all that's really happening, because he's not really saying anything, my car is sitting in the garage. I haven't started it yet this morning. It's not really a story. It's a story if I'm going to start it. It's a story if I'm not going to start it. And it's a story when I start it. This is the sound and the fury. And so what's happened as a result, of course, is all the aggregation sites, Bleacher Report, as a result of Jeremy Fowler's, quote, reporting, writes, the Cowboys don't seem to be showing urgency to get a new deal done with Dak. That's not necessarily so at all. I don't blame Bleacher Report for thinking that. After all, they're taking Jeremy Fowler at his face value, and that's what he's hinting at. But that's not necessarily true at all. The deadline of sorts is March 13th. That's when the Cowboys have to be cap compliant. With the move on Dak's present $59.4 million cap hit, the motivation for that eventual change. Sidebar, Fowler, along with Dan Graziano, previous to this, wrote that the Cowboys have 6 months to negotiate this. 6 months? No, they got, as I sit here today, they have 18 days, not 6 months. Not 180 days, 18 days. I've detailed in depth with you and at CowboysSI.com the trio of options that Dallas has. Option 1, stick with the original plan, extend. Option number 2, let it ride. Cross your fingers that you somehow can still do business and leave the $59.4 million alone, knowing, of course, that you might lose Dak Prescott after the year. And option number 3, the one that I'm saying is buzzy in the building, the Band-Aid. Just flip the switch on the automatic conversions and move that money out into the 2 voidable years that are already built into the contract. By the way, you don't have to ask Dak Prescott's permission to do that. You don't have to negotiate that. You just do it. And if they don't have a new agreement by March 13th, all logic says that's exactly what Dallas will do. And all it is, again, it converts base to bonus. We've talked about this dozens of times over the course of the last decade. When will all of this conversation actually involve both the Cowboys and the agent, Todd France? Fowler says they could certainly meet at the NFL Combine to at least get started to see where each side is at. No spit, Sherlock. That is 100% where agents and general managers meet every year on every big and most every little contract. All the agents go, the general managers go. It's a football convention, and they hang around in the hotel lobbies, and they get to Gian and Han, and then they go to dinner at St. Elmo's and have a big expensive steak and a big fancy bottle of wine, and they talk. That is not a scoop. That is not an exclusive. That is standard operating procedure for this and every other team working on a big and even little contract. Predicting that the two sides will eventually talk, maybe at the Combine, is not advancing the ball. It is not. Of course, the two sides could meet. In fact, I'll go a step beyond that. whether it's on a phone call or in person. No, and both. I guarantee you the two sides will eventually be on a phone call. That does not get me on SportsCenter. It's just a logical fact. I virtually guarantee you that two sides will meet in person. That doesn't get me on Saturday Morning SportsCenter. It gets Jeremy Fowler on it. That does not get me on Saturday Morning SportsCenter. It's logical. It's virtually guaranteed. Todd France and Stephen Jones having a beer together at the combine or sitting on the party bus together, I virtually guarantee that that's going to happen. In fact, really, Stephen Jones is not a scout. So his presence at the scouting combine, they don't need Stephen at the scouting combine to run a stopwatch and see who's running the 40. Stephen Jones goes to the scouting combine to do business. You can't accurately shoot down our report that they're ready to negotiate because it's true. You cannot get credit here by saying they will eventually talk because that's true. And you can't even get credit by saying they'll probably talk at the combine because that's what they do every year. And I don't need Saturday morning sound and fury to tell me that. Fish out.